Please bring all your breeding heifers to the show ring, all your breeding heifers to the show ring. Attention in the steer barn. We need all your breeding heifers to the show ring. All your breeding heifers to the show ring.
We start the Heifer Show off here. Let's first of all, just like to thank everyone for having me back out, back here to my second trip here to Eddy County in the land of enchantment to sort through the cattle show. And I think they told me that the cattle show's up this year, and that's awfully good news to hear. Last year it was a real competitive show. I'm glad that the numbers have picked up. I'm glad that the competition looks to be just a little bit stouter. I think we're on the right track to get there. The breeding heifer show here, small in numbers. Definitely think there's some quality to be had out here. Give us just a little bit, and we'll get this ring kind of ironed out. We get a few under our belt here, but I'm going to go ahead and start with this young lady. She'll be your champion heifer. This is one for me, a pretty easy decision. A female that's just so maternal, so good or kind. I love this one's feet and legs. I think this female really good there in the center portion of her body. I like that one's look up front. I like her smoothness. I like her femininity. To me, that's just a pretty solid place to go ahead and start. Congratulations to that young lady there. The red one that's going to come in next. This one here, probably a little stouter option than what our class winner is or what our champion is. This thing is super big and square in terms of her pin set. I like the amount of genuine muscle shape that this thing's got. I like just the natural thickness that this one brings to the table. With that, I think she's a little bit more conventional in terms of her size than her kind. I maybe would like to lay that shoulder back just a little bit. Maybe like to see her neck come up off the top side of it just a bit as well. But I like a lot of things about that one, especially from her shoulder back. And I think she handles all that power and all that mass with an awfully good set of feet and legs underneath her. This smoky one that's going to stand in third here. One, again, that I think is big-footed. I think that one's heavy structured. I think that one's got some natural thickness and some power to her. But with that, I'd probably like to change that one the most structurally in this lineup. I think she's a little open at the top of her shoulder. I'd like to blend that shoulder onto her skeleton just a shot better. I'd like to see that one a belly down with just a little bit more maturity, a little more time. I think that one does that one the most good, but I like a lot of things about that one. I think the ones that come 4 and 5 here, like the feet and leg structure on this one. To me, that one comes off as kind of immature in her kind. I think if we put some more pounds on that one, see that one with maturity, I think that she could elevate more to the top of this class. But with that, she comes off a little flatter, comes off a little narrower in this lineup. I know she's not wanting to show herself off quite as much for that. Kind of the same story. Young lady's doing a nice job getting that one wrangled in. Just like to see that one go. Like to see that one a little further down the road, and we'll see what she brings to the table. A really good breeding heifer lineup, though. Let's give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause, if you don't mind.
Your first place breeding heifer went to Jordan Hamill, Artesia FFA. Second went to Cody Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. Third went to Willow Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. Fourth went to Cody Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots, tag 649. And your fifth went to JC Smith, Country Clovers. Please bring your Class 1 market steers to the show ring. Class 1 market steers to the show ring. We're going to wait 10 minutes to get class 1 started. We will start at 10. Please bring your Class 1 steers to the show ring. Class 1 steers to the show ring.
We'll kick off the steer show here. Awfully good lineup. I think the one that wins for me, I think, does so pretty handily. I don't think that one's perfect. I don't think that one's perfect by any stretch, but I do think that that is just so powerful, so massive kind of a steer that feeds out of his shoulder with a tremendous amount of shape and squareness. I think it's huge in terms of his pin set. You get him behind that one, that thing is makes a little sense. That thing's a little coarser in terms of his joint work. I wish we could smooth his neck up just a bit, but that thing is an absolute truck. And for that one to move around as good as he does, I think is awfully nice. That one draws up pretty good from the profile. I like that one pretty easily to go ahead and win. The one that's going to come next, a little more moderate, a little more conventional in terms of his kind. I think that's a calf that's probably a shot better in terms of his feet and legs than what our class winner is. One that's a little smoother jointed, one that's a little smoother in terms of his body shape. But with that being said, I think he's carrying a little more condition. I think maybe he's pushed a little further in that regard. It comes off a little bit plainer in terms of his look. I think if we could clean that one up, clean his bottom line up just a bit, I think it'd make him look a shot neater. I like a lot of things about that one. Maybe just like to tone him back and freshen him up in terms of his finish. Maybe see that guy with just a shot more shape, and I think we could make a little more competitive top pair there. This painted up thing that's going to come next. One again, big back. That one's thick-ended. That one's got some product. That one's got some shape. I'd like to redesign this one in terms of his skeleton. That one's a little jammed up front. I'd like to lay him back in the angle of his shoulder. See him go with just a shot more flex, a shot more reach there in his hock and his pastern. But like the product of that one, maybe just like to redesign that one structurally. One that's going to come in here fourth, this white one that's going to be next. This is one that's got a little more frame, maybe one that got a little away from him when it comes feeding time. This guy did a lot of growing up. I'd like to see this one just shut down just a bit and see if we can get this one to blow out. That one needs to be more blown apart in his rib. That one needs more muscle. That one just needs more to him. Maybe just a later maturing kind of cattle that just needs time to shut his skeleton down. Maybe some more feed will blow that one out even further. The one that comes next, kind of the same story as what our fourth place one is, a little bigger in terms of his kind, and one that I wish just had a little more softness there in the center portion of his body. I wish that one was just a hair more market ready in terms of his kind, because that one's big-footed and big-legged. That one just needs more maturity. That one needs to be softer in terms of his makeup. The short horn kind of round up thing that's going to come next, just like to redesign that one structurally. That one's a little over in his knee. That one's a little forward in terms of his shoulder. That one looks like they swung from the fence, breeding that one, which I can commend. But at the same time, I'd like to tone that one back in terms of his skeleton, because we got an awfully shapely, awfully expressive kind of a cattle there. I just need to redesign that one structurally. The two cattle that round out the class, good in terms of their feet and legs. Just wish those things had a little bit more to them. Wish they were presented just a little bit with a little bit more quality from the side. An awfully nice lineup, though. Good class of steers to start the show off with. Congratulations to each and every one of these exhibitors.
First place went to Jordan Hamill, Artesia FFA. Second went to Grayson Kirkendall, Cottonwood 4-H. Third went to Miles Klein, Blue Jeans and Boots. Fourth went to Kiefer Klein, Blue Jeans and Boots. Fifth went to Miles Klein, Blue Jeans and Boots, tag 994. Sixth went to Mason Troublefield, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh went to Abby Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. And eighth went to Cody Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. Please bring your Class 2 steers to the show ring. Class 2 steers to the show ring.
One of the nice classic cattle here. I'm going to go ahead and lead off with this young lady's Smoky calf to go ahead and win, and I think she does so pretty easily for me. That one checks the boxes by being one that's got some quality from the side. That's one that's built right in terms of her foundation. I don't know that that's just like the stoutest or the burliest one that we've got out here, but I do think that one is put together the best from the side. I think that one maintains the most quality. Maybe one that I would like to stouten up, and just in terms of his feature, just a touch, maybe see just a shot more shape up high. But with that, I think that's the highest quality animal that we've got out here. I like that one a lot. I like the pieces that one brings to the table. Maybe just like to stouten that one up, make him just a shot more burly in a perfect world. The one that we're going to come in second here, this other kind of white one that's going to come next. This one probably is the alternative to that one. That one is huge-footed. That one is ginormous-legged. That one just reads with a ton of stoutness. That one's just massive. That one's just super rugged in terms of his build. But with that, I think it comes in a little plainer package. He's a little plainer there at the base of his neck. I don't think his neck shoots up as good off the top of his shoulder. I don't think that one reads with just the muscle shape that he needs to complement that extra mass, to complement that extra stoutness. And with that, I think he comes off just a shot plainer from the side. Maybe we like to tone that one back just a bit in terms of his finish, and I think that helps his look just a bit. But I do love that one's foundation. I like that one's ruggedness. I like that one's stoutness. I maybe just like to see him a shot neater from the side, maybe not quite as plain in terms of his look. The one that's going to come in here third, I think this one, just the more you study him, the harder it is to pick just a major hole in that one. But also at the same time, when you're weighing those goods and bads out, that guy doesn't just have any of the extras that he brings to the table as well. I think he's got plenty of muscle and plenty of shape. I like that thing's running gear just enough. To me, he's not quite as attractive and quite as neat as what our class winner is. I don't think he's quite as stout and burly and rugged as what our second place one is, and that's why that one's going to stand third today. One that comes next, this one's probably got as much back shape and expression as anything that we've got out here. With that one looks a little harder doing in terms of his kind, not quite as dropped and progressive there in the center portion of his body. Not quite as market ready or smooth in terms of his condition, but I love that one's shape. I like that one's expression. I maybe just like to see that one belly down just a little bit, see him just a little softer in his kind. The one that comes next, this painted up calf, this one again has the shape, has the muscle. Just like to redesign that one's skeleton. I'd like to lay that one back a little in the angle of his shoulder. That one gets a little over in his knee and kind of wants to paddle up front. Maybe like to see that one a shot more secure in his ankle and his pastern behind as well. The one that comes next, another one too, I think it's got a lot of shape and expression. That one comes off a little raw today. That one looks a little immature in terms of his condition. That one looks a little tighter there in his forerib, not quite as progressive as some cattle as we have in this class. The couple on down the line here, I like a lot of things about this one. This red one here, I'd like to redesign that one's structure, maybe power that one up just a little bit. The young man that rounds out the class there, just need that one to have a little more power, a little more muscle to complement that one's skeleton. But an awfully nice lineup. Congratulations again to these young exhibitors.
Please bring Class 3 market steers to the show ring. Class 3 market steers to the show ring. Your first place out of Class 2 went to Bailey Verdon, Artesia FFA. Second went to Callie Bennett, Artesia FFA. Third went to Ansley Treblefield, Cottonwood 4-H. Fourth went to J.C. Smith, Country Clovers. Fifth went to Alondra Gomez, Artesia FFA. Sixth went to Miles Klein, Blue Jeans and Boots. Seventh went to Willow Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. And eighth went to Alondra Gomez, Artesia FFA, tag 642.
Well, a nice class here, one that I definitely think's got probably the most depth that we've had in anything that we've seen so far. And with that, we've got some struggles that we're having out here in the ring, and I know that that's sometimes a little distracting, maybe sometimes a little bit hard to read through, but really try to give most of these kids the benefit of the doubt. Try to really evaluate what I can and sort through the stock the best I know. And with that, I think this young that's just going to go ahead and win, I think does so pretty easily for me. That thing is probably the most interesting animal that we've seen so far. That thing's feet and legs are really big and stout, and they work really good for that thing having hip and power and muscle when you get it right behind him. Maybe if we could tie that thing in a little leveler right behind his shoulder. Sometimes he wants to collect himself, but I think I don't weigh on that too bad because he's kind of out there in terms of his pieces. That thing is way wide, way stout, and way burly. It's hard to put all that together in just a super neat package, but I do think that guy is pretty interesting and pretty neat there in terms of that regard. The one that's going to come in here in second, this thing kind of give it up the second half of this class. The first part was doing just fine. In the second half, he kind of give it up, but that thing is absolutely stout. You got to really get on top of this one and get in right behind him to really appreciate the amount of mass, the amount of muscle that thing's got. That thing is absolutely huge in terms of his hip. That thing's got a ton of shape and flare down there, the lower part of his quarter down into his stifle. But with that, I think he's got a little more shoulder. I don't think he's quite as neat in some areas as what our class winner is, or even what our third place animal is. That thing wants to get a little off in terms of his hip. That thing's a little rougher in terms of his shoulder into his full rib. And then again, that thing just doesn't want to show himself off. I wish he really would get out and go. I think we could appreciate that calf just a little bit more, but that's just the cards that were dealt. He's just giving that young lady a hard time right now. The one that's going to stand in third, this probably is the smoothest option of the top three. This one is the levelest down the top side of his skeleton. That one blends together really good. But with that, I don't think he's bringing as much to the table in terms of stoutness. I don't think that guy's got as many of the extras as what 1 and 2 got. I'd maybe like to change that one up, and just in terms of his foot structure just a bit, I'd like to power that one up just a touch as well. But I do like that one's smoothness. I like that one's levelness. I like that one's a balance and proportionality from the side. Just wish he had a few more of the extras that we've got up. If we're just studying them up top and from behind, I think this kind of Charlet looking thing here should be at the top of the class. That thing's got a ton of shape, ton of muscle. Just like to redesign that one's skeleton just a bit. I'd like to lay that one's shoulder back just a touch. I'd like to give that one's hock a little more flex. I'd like to see that one set down with just a little more cushion there in his lower joints. I think that would help that one's attractiveness out as much as anything. But I do like that one's power and shape. Just like to redesign a few of those things beneath that, and I think we could move that one up in this class. One that comes in here next, this calf. The longer I was out, or the one that when he first hit the ring, I liked this one quite a bit. And the longer that he was out here, I think the more I just started to work him down. I think that one, 2, is really level. That one's really smooth. But I think at the same time, that one just gives up too much compared to the top end of this class. You get in right behind him, he's pretty easily the flattest there in the seat of his pants. Wants to get a little flatter there in terms of his rib cage. But I like that one's look from the side. That one's just got to be a little stouter for me. The one that comes next, I think, does have that advantage over the one in front of him. I think that one's got just a touch more shape. I think that one's got just a touch more volume of muscle to him. But at the same time, I think that one kind of gets off in his pins just a bit. Wants to kind of camp those hind legs up underneath himself. I'd like to see him just a little neater up through his front third as well. And kind of the blue roan thing that comes next, that one I think just needs to belly down just a shot more. It just looks a little raw. Looks a little underfinished right now. Like that one's shape. Just a shot heavier condition. And then the one that rounds out the class, kind of the same story, a little bigger framed, later maturing kind of cattle, one that I think just needs to stop growing, and I think that one would maybe settle down and put some finish on, maybe give that one a shot more power as well. But an awfully nice lineup. Congratulations to all these steer showmen.
Please bring your Class 4 steers to the show ring. Class 4 steers to the show ring. Your first place for Class 3 was Bailey Verdon, Artesia FFA. Second was Jordan Hamill, Artesia FFA. Third was Kendi Burnett, Pennyasco 4-H. Fourth was Madeline Clark, Carlsbad FFA. Fifth was Mason Troublefield, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth was Samuel Fodge, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh was Cody Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. And eighth was Landon Olgeen, Cottonwood 4-H.
a class here that took maybe just a little bit longer to put together. There's so many different kinds and types in this lineup, and that's what makes it fun at times, but definitely makes it interesting from a judge's perspective to kind of find a pattern and maybe blend together some stuff and find the one that suits you the best. And the one that suits me the best in this lineup is this young man's red calf that's standing out here in the middle. I don't think that one reads with the most just bone and feature and stoutness as some that we have out here, but you really study him for what he is. That one's feet and legs. That one's skeleton's put together good. That one's got more than enough muscle to him. I like that one's body shape. Maybe even just a bit, if we could maybe tone that one back just a bit, maybe looks even a little over full, maybe wants to drag his top down just a bit. But I think that guy puts the most good things together. If I could change him in a perfect world, I'd like to maybe stouten up his head, stouten up his bone work just a bit. But that kind of comes to territory. That thing maybe looks like he's got a little red Angus in him or something like that. But a really nice one, a really kind of a fault-free one to go ahead and win this class. This red and white one that we're going to use to come in here next. This guy here is probably fixes some things about our class winner by being a little more by being a little heavier structured, by being a little stouter in terms of his bone work and his skeleton. That thing is really bold and massive in the middle part of his body. That thing's got some volume of muscle. I would say I would like to see that one just a shot more shapely, but then more than anything, that one's skeleton just needs to be redesigned for me just a bit. Wants to get a little forward in the angle of his shoulder, consequently at times wants to get that knee kind of rocking in him just a bit. I maybe like to fix those rear two just a touch, but I like that one standing still. I just would like to change that one in motion just a bit. This black and white one that's going to come next. Maybe if this thing, maybe his bloat's just giving him just a little fits, maybe doesn't want to, maybe just a little uncomfortable out here in the ring. I do think that one is the sounder structured option than our second place. That one's better in terms of his feet and legs. I like that one's lower joint work quite a bit better. To me, that one gets a little off in terms of his hip, a little shorter in terms of his hip. That in conjunction with being a little extra bend to his hock there, maybe just gives him a little more of an unattractive look when he's standing there. I'd like to change that up just a bit. Then again, maybe that bloat's bothering him just a bit, but I'd like to see him just a shot more put together from the side, but I like that one's running gear a little better than the second place one. The one that comes in here next, the longer that one was out here, the more I appreciated him, but at the same time, when you start breaking him down and wanting to move him up in this class, you got to ask yourself, how does that one elevate the top of this class? I love that one from the side and on the move. That one is very balanced, very proportional. That one's got the right set of running gear underneath him. But with that, I think he gives up the most in terms of muscle of our top end. I think he becomes the plainest there out of his pin set and gives up the most down there to his, narrows up the most down there to his hock and at the ground. We could change those things about him, maybe just stouten him up all the way through. I think we could pull that one up, move that one up in this class. Probably the most interesting one is going to come in here next. This thing has absolutely perfect feet and legs. That thing looks like a dream from the side. That thing is incredibly tall. That thing is really big. I've never really seen or to my knowledge, I haven't seen many of them that are that tall. That one sticks his neck way up off the top side of his shoulder. I love that one from the side. Love that one on the move. Just with all that extra frame and growth, and that one just needs to have a little more to him for me. I think that one gets a little flatter there in his rib. That one gives up a little when you get in behind him. When you got cattle with that much grow in them, it's hard to get them shut down and get them to grow out. The calf looks just a little bit older, and that's probably a consequence of that. The red kind of shorthorn one here that's coming out next. This one's got shape. That one's got expression. That one's got a bold turn there over his rib and over his loin edge. Like those things about him. Comes off a little raw in terms of his kind. Like to smoothen that one up just a bit from the side. Maybe like to drop that one's flank just a touch. I think he's sound enough. I just don't think he's as attractive in how he moves or how his hind leg is assembled. But I like those things about him. Just like to redesign a few of those things from an aesthetic standpoint. But a nice calf there. The next three that come out, I'd like to redesign all these cattle structurally just a bit. I think they could all be laid back just a shot more comfortably in their shoulder. I think they could get out and go with just a shot more flex and comfort. And I think we could elevate these cattle because some of them got some shape, some of them got some muscle. Their structure's just a big red flag for me, and if I could change those, I think it would make the class even just more difficult. But an awfully good lineup all the way through. Congratulations to all these steer showmen.
Please bring your Class 5 steers to the show ring. Class 5 steers to the show ring. Your first place out of Class 4 went to Caden Golden, Artesia FFA. Second went to Octavio Esquivel, Artesia FFA. Third went to Ty Martinez, Loving 4-H. Fourth went to Kaylin Wood, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth went to Mason Golden, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth went to Jordan Hamill, Artesia FFA. Seventh went to Madeline Clark, Carlsbad FFA. Eighth went to Kendi Burnett, Pennyasco 4-H. And ninth went to Kaylee Shockey, Cottonwood 4-H.
Last class of the day here as we wrap up the cattle show, I think is another just a good class to end on. I think that we've got, again, a lot of types. And maybe you run these back at me tomorrow and maybe we flip-flop, especially these top two, because I wish we could just blend these cattle together, because I just love this one's feet and legs. I like that one in terms of the substance, in terms of the softness that one's got down low. I think you put the cattle in motion. He's without question the more comfortable option. I like that one substantially better in terms of his hip and his hind leg posture and the way that he moves it. I do wish that he was a little cleaner there in terms of his chest. I wish we could freshen that one up in terms of his neck, make that one just a shot neater up front, and then I think he would win even more handily, because I would like to change those things about him, and that's what I like about this red and white one here. That one's really neat up front. That one's neck sits real high up off the top of his shoulder. You get in behind that one, that one's probably got the advantage in terms of pin width. That one's got a ton of shape there in his lower quarter. You put the cattle in motion though, and that's where that guy tends to come apart. I think he's a little more forward, the angle of his shoulder. I think consequently he gets off right behind it. And then more than anything, I'd like to see him set down with a little more foot size. I'd like a little more cushion and stability there in his pastern. I think that would help him out a tremendous amount, but I do like that one's neck. I do like that one's neck set. I like that one's look from the side. I like that one's pin width and dimension from behind. I just like to piece that one together just a shot better in terms of his skeleton. The young man's kind of Hereford influence, one that's going to stand in third. That one from the side, really level down his top. I think that one's probably got a shot better. He's a shot better on the move than what our second place steer is. A calf though that for me, I'd like to see that one balance just a shot better from the side. I think he's a little deeper chested and a little deeper and plainer chested relative to running out of gas a little bit when you get in behind him. Kind of wants to wedge up in that direction. Maybe we like to balance those things out a little bit. I think that would help us look from the side, because I like some things about that calf. Maybe just gives up the look compared to our second place. Maybe not quite as stout as the one we've got that wins the class, but a nice job there to that young man. The one that's going to come in here fourth. This one here, really good in terms of his feet and legs. That one's got a great look from profile. That one just gives up the most, probably of the top 5 or 6. That one's given up the most muscle. That one's the plainest right behind his shoulder. That one, you get in right behind him. If I could blow that one apart, maybe power that one up just a bit, we could elevate that one, because he's got some good pieces. Just runs out of gas for me. The one that comes next, probably quite opposite of that fourth place calf. That one there, really wide open, really busted apart. That calf's got a ton of width, ton of dimension. I maybe just like to almost probably conserve that one just a bit. Gets a little out there in terms of his front end. I'd like to blend that smoother onto his body. Whenever he goes, he wants to get outside the plane of his body. Maybe a consequence of that one being just a little over conditioned for my taste, but that one's got a ton of power. Just like to conserve it onto his skeleton a little better. Maybe back the other direction here, one that again, that's probably a lot like the fourth place one. Good feet and leg structure, good on the move. That one just needs to be powered up. The two that kind of round out the class here, just got to redesign those a little bit structurally. Got plenty of shape to them. They just want to get outside the plane of their body. I maybe like to see those guys a little more conservative in terms of their skeleton, but an awfully nice way to round out the steer show. I'm excited to get all the class winners out here, and we'll find you one a supreme champion overall. Congratulations to all these exhibitors.
Please bring all your first and second place steers back to the show ring. All your first and second place steers back to the show ring. First place went to Samuel Fodge, Cottonwood 4-H. Second went to Grayson Kirkendall, Cottonwood 4-H. Third went to Jack Jerva, Country Clovers. Fourth went to Bailey Burden, Artesia FFA. Fifth went to Willow Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots. Sixth went to Octavio Escobar, Artesia FFA. Seventh went to Haley Martin, Carlsbad FFA. And eighth went to Abby Nichols, Blue Jeans and Boots.
Well, it's been a heck of a steer show here, and I've enjoyed being back out here in Eddy County again for my second year to have the pleasure to sort through these things. And I know that last year we had some hiccups, I guess you could say, with that awful pandemic and everything in that nature. But I'm glad to see that everybody's rebounding. I'm glad to see that the calibers are back up. I'm glad to see that I said all the numbers were back up across the board, and so that's refreshing to hear. I know it's getting hot out here. The cattle are getting hot, so I'll keep it short. But one thing I've got to say is that we in the agriculture business have got to persevere and keep fighting the good fight, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are feeding the world and doing what we can to make it all a better place. So I'm completely proud of the cattle that we've got out here. Congratulations to all these exhibitors again, and one more time, if you give them a round of applause, I'll go show you which two I like best.
Your grand champion market steer went to Jordan Hamill, and your reserve champion market steer went to Bailey Verdon. Please let's give this judge one more big round of applause for coming out to Eddy County. He did a great job this morning.